Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel and at Bella, and today we're going to be finally doing my New 52 review. The New 52 was a complete reboot of all DC comic titles. There was 52 titles in the New 52, that's why it was called the New 52. They modernised the characters and they brought the stories up to date. It was considered controversial at the time for several reasons, and all sorts of things happened. One of the big controversies was Harley Quinn, new characterisation. She was more violent and she was, her clothes were considered more sexy, so she was being developed for the male gaze, and this upset quite a lot of fans. And it's still not been settled today, which is why they're doing White Knight to sort of correct some of those issues or confront them in the comic. Brilliant comic, White Knight. I recommend everybody read it. Because it shocked a lot of people when they did that. The Joker Endgame is one of the best of the New 52, I think. New 52 comics really aren't for anybody sort of under 12, to be absolutely honest. So here we have them looking fairly classic, actually. Yes, she's got her new stuff, but it isn't as sexualized as in Suicide Squad, which we'll get to, because we're starting off with the easy stuff. Yeah, and she still is hopeful for romance with the Joker there and stuff. With the bazooka. Oh, come on. And then it changes because the Joker has gone and cut his face off. Which shows his complete lack of humanity, literally. Where are we? And then, see, he's in the back cave there, which you can get into any time. And there's the Red Hood. It really is a cracking story. He cuts off Alfred's hand. It's just brilliant. Yay, we've got a link in with the 1980s Batman film there. So it really just summarised the Joker. Use of gas. Batman has to work with Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Bane, Scarecrow and Penguin to bring him down. And he really, really does look quite cool. And then there are several Joker origin stories all the way throughout this series. So it's basically, do you want to know how I got these scars? Yada, 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 yada. Which is really, really good. Harley Quinn is only in the beginning. She's not in the end, because it's a Batman and Joker relationship story, and that is dealt with really, really well. And of all the New 52 stories featuring Joker and Harley Quinn, this one is pretty good. It's really, really good. We don't actually know what happens to Harley at the end of this. That's significant because that shows that he's still pining for his wife who died. Yeah, it is a great, great story, this. Can't recommend it enough. Really, really good. Really, really good. Joker Endgame. No complaints there. Then we move on to the Joker Death in the Family. Now, this one links with Suicide Squad Run. And people misread this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through the Joker Endgame from the Joker's perspective, and then we're going to look at the new Suicide Squad. And we will see where it interlinks and what the Suicide Squad does with the aftermath of this story. Because this is quite shocking. Okay, so there we have a young Dr. Harley Quinzel. She was one of the only people that could actually stand to be in the room with the Joker when he was in Arkham. And that's significant in itself. See, this is how Catwoman was drawn. See, she's still got her full bodysuit on, whereas Harley is showing more flesh. And then part 3 is the Harley Quinn part. So this is after the funeral of Deadshot in Suicide Squad. And this is where people misread. And they do misread it. Yep, so he's going to get her, punches her. Yeah, this is highly abusive, by the way. I am not denying that. It goes here, and then it goes to a flashback where he gets her to wear his old Red Hood stuff. And Batman asks Harley, who's wearing the Red Hood stuff, where he is, and she says, it's not my Mr. J anymore. See, you can see that coming down for her. Grabs her. Now this is important because people look at the shocking visuals, and yes, they are shocking, but they also, what really annoys me is they read the dialogue and they look at the pretty pictures, but they then don't read the thought bubbles, which are so important. Have you ever been in the presence of greatness? So weirdly enough, Harley's getting off on this. I'm not just talking about a celebrity or an athlete. I'm talking about someone who changes the world. And she's referring to the Joker. Someone who history will never forget. And this is how she sees the Joker. So even though this looks quite shocking, she actually values what's happening here. Okay. So have you? Well, I have, and I'll tell you something. It is to die for. So she's enjoying this, even though it is abusive. And people see the thing, say, oh, he's abusive, it's abusive, it's abusive. Well, actually, it's both abusive. They abuse each other. It's this weird codependent thing that they've got. And I think that that's important, that people recognise this. This woman used to be his psychiatrist, so she knows him really well. So she was actually the first to abuse her position of power because he was the patient. And yes, it swung the other way when he was abusing her, but you've got to read. You've got to read what she says. You've got to read the motivation for it. See, and then he starts to give her basically a refresher course because she has been a little bit independent. Now, this is important. You know, I hate to go anywhere without you, baby. Now, this is really interesting. Because here, we have for the first time, I don't remember this position in the Kama Sutra, do you? This is the first time we've actually had it confirmed that they did have a sexual relationship. Because in the animated series, people were like, the Joker's asexual, and he doesn't do that with Harley. He pushed her off the desk, completely ignores and was focused on Batman. Clearly, in the New 52, they rectify that and say, yes, they did. I'm full of surprises. Hello to the kids. I find this bit shocking because remember, this is called Death of the Family, and it's not just death of the Bat family, it's also death of Harley Quinn and Joker's family as well. So you've got Bud and Lou, bless them, they're the hyenas, and Joker has basically given them rabies, and Harley has to kill them. And this is where she changes. She's enraged. I'm going to kill you for this, because they, both Joker and Harley, raised those hyena pups. They stole them from the zoo and they raised them as puppies. Probably because their twins were miscarried. Yeah, it is pretty dark. And it is also probably why they brainwashed Tim Drake as well. Because Tim Drake is probably the reason why Harley miscarried the twins in a fight with him, I suspect. And it's another reason why Joker went for Jason Todd as well. Love and hate. You know what they say, there's a thin line between love and hate. So she started off liking it and loving it, and then realising what he's gone and done to the beloved hyenas, because she has to kill them. And they have this full-on fight because he wants to cut her face off like his. Now this is important. You're right. I never felt right doing the things we did, but I loved you, and for that, I did it. And then you left, and I was all alone, and someone offered me a chance to be something different than what I had been. And you know what? I liked it. It felt right, but I still love you. So even though their relationship is over, she still loves him. Yep. Oh, she's bit his tongue. All of this, and then he's saying that she's, there've been other Harleys, which is a blatant lie. We know the Joker lies. And he's just cross because he wants her approval. He wants her to be with him. He wants to get rid of the hyenas, her to have her face off and to become like him, basically. It's not worked. She said, no, I'm not going to do that. So he's put her down there as punishment. But he's not killed her. Not yet. Okay, so she manages to cuts her wrists to get out, and she ends up back in Belle Reve. And then the Joker says, well played, my dear. You might just become my Harley yet. Now notice what he calls her here, Harleen. So he does know who she is. Now that was a ton of laughs. Wait till you hear this one. So that's that. And then we've got this whole Batgirl rubish where we get flashbacks to the Killing Joke. And he threatens to sort of... It's really bizarre. Yeah, it's this one where he wants to cut off all her limbs and marry her. I think it is. Yeah, it is. It's a bit strange. And then, yeah, her brother, who is cuckoo, James Gordon Jr., who's a complete psychopath, tries to rob her in. It's really weird how he wants to marry Batgirl. It just is slightly strange. So, yeah, and then her brother dobs her in. Yeah, because her brother's a psycho. So, yeah. And then you've got the Red Hood and Red Robin. Yeah, because Jason is a particular... yeah, they've got history. It's a really, really good book. It goes through all the characters and how the Joker affects them, yada, 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 etc., 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 etc. Yeah, because he basically captures the whole of the Bat family and ends up feeding them their heads. Or their faces, anyway. And they end up more distrustful. But it is awesome. But it is quite controversial. Okay, so that's from the Joker's perspective. If we then jump into Suicide Squad, there is a little bit after... after all of this. Because it picks it up here. And I believe it is... somewhere in here. I'll have to check. Not in the first one. I think it is in the second one. That's the chicken back in the coop. I think it is this one. Yes, it is. Because Amanda Waller has her penny's worth. Here we are. Puts her money's worth in this one and get her opinion of the whole thing. Because during this whole exchange, Harley's got camera contact lenses in. Amanda Waller could have rescued her, but she chose not to. So this is where it ends in the Joker's death of the family. We then get this. Welcome home, Harley. Thanks. What have you done? What? I had to escape. A little blood, a little pain, a lot of wiggling till my hands were free. I wanted to show him I was more than just one of his broken toys to throw away. And then Deadshot's alive. I always heard breaking up was hard to do, but this is ridiculous. Woke up. Here we are. It's in here. Yes. Because this is the kind of woman Amanda Waller is. Yeah, he turns up. Don't get me wrong, this has been better than HBO. I mean, I can't wait to see how this ends. But why are you doing this? To gain your trust, Yo-Yo. By showing me torture porn? Running a secret ops team like Suicide requires absolute control. I share my secrets with you, and in return you tell me everyone else's. So you want me to spy for you? How do you know that? It's because it's my job. I had Harley shipped here after the Joker went after the res, and she cut up a bunch of losers till Black Canary caught up with her. I knew eventually the Joker would come back, and when he did, he'd grab his little bag of crazy and they'd have a reunion. So I planted bionic remote contact lenses in Harley's eyes and bid my time. I even put up with all her crap and turned a blind eye to a little fling with the departed Deadshot, all because I knew she'd get me a ringside seat to watch one of the greatest criminal minds of our time in action, and that was priceless. And when I'm done learning what I need, I always believed Harley couldn't live without the Joker, but the truth is, it is he who cannot live without her. In his own strange way, he actually loves Harley and wants her approval. The guy is a class 1 lunatic. You should be calling the cops and having him taken in. No, this is important. Amanda Waller has realised that it's the Joker who's more dependent on Harley Quinn than Harley Quinn is on the Joker. And that is huge. And then we also get some interesting info in this one. Then why is he about to kill her? Because he's lost her and he knows it, but he has hope. And that is fascinating. So here we have the Harley Quinn Deadshot thing with the chemicals. Because what's really sad about Suicide Squad New 52 is it started off really, really great. They did some great stuff with it. They had the whole torturing bit at the beginning. And then they put them on that weird mission, which was kind of cool. But after all that torture, she puts them straight out. She didn't even let them go to the medical room, which is kind of bizarre, seeing as does she want them or does she want to kill them? We're never quite sure with Waller. It's sort of like, if you kill your team, then you have no team, then you can't do what you need to do, dear. But she never seems to get that. So then we get the whole Deadshot Harley Quinn fling thing. And that's just because he's the new alpha male and she wants to be his sidekick. And Amanda Waller allows it because she knew that Harley would need something like that to stay. And then yeah, it's very strange. And then we get flashbacks. Now this is really, really good because it shows you like where it began, all of this, because she escapes from Belle Reve basically and goes looking for him, like, where is he, why has he dumped me? All of this. She gets... And this is where the Joker has had his face cut off by the doll maker. And his face is being kept in Gotham City Police Department. So she... And it just shows you how powerful she is with all the riots she's enabled to do. And this is where the Joker chucks her into chemical bath, which is new to her origin. And then we get all of this. And Deadshot is really freaked out because by this point he kind of has real feelings for her. But then he realises that she hasn't got over the Joker. And in that, she actually says, yes, we did Murder and Mayhem, but some of the times it was actually quite good that we did have R&R. That's her and the Joker. And then, now this is really interesting what Amanda Waller says here. If we could just see it. See that they're giving, when they get injured, they give them this and it heals them. So Amanda Waller sees them as long-term tools. But if you ever pull a stunt like that again, you use stupid little excuse for a psychic, I will personally put a bullet in your brain and then use your body for scientific experiments because I can. But until then, your ass belongs to me, Smookums, and I'm going to make you pay. But she's already using them for scientific experiments. It's one of the reasons why Deadshot was able to come back was through this serum. Which is really interesting because Amanda Waller's Belle Reve is basically just a research centre on metahumans. Because ARGOS stands for Advanced Research... Argus. Advanced Group for Research Uniting Superhumans. Advanced Research Group for Uniting Superhumans. Yeah, that's it. So, and that's what Task Force X is. So she's using these superhumans as research guinea pigs as well as for missions. So it really is quite cruel. So, and this is all the fuss was about how she was drawn in this. Because it starts off really good. That is good. This is very good. Really good. Amanda Waller is also younger in this and not fat, which to me is offensive because I prefer her fat. But there's no Rick Flag in this at all. Deadshot is the leader. And this is good. Starts off really, really good. And then it's here that things start to go downhill because they start to, I don't know why, but they really start to show how menacing they are, and Deadshot and Harley Quinn manage to get their bombs out of their necks, which is good on them, to be absolutely honest. And they escape again. And it all gets a bit confusing and it's a bit convoluted, but it is good. So we get Harley lives, so we find out more about her background here. And it just shows how she's sort of a put-together character. And this is really shocking. Woo! Really, really shocking. And then you get more on Deadshot. Because it's basically just expanding Harley Quinn and Deadshot's origins. Because they are the main characters in Suicide Squad apart from Waller. But yeah, this is the one where Harley Quinn actually kills a bunch of children by doing a video game update and blowing them up. And Deadshot has to come and bring her back to Belle Reve because the Joker is just not interested. Which is kind of strange considering that he went and got her in this one. So, yeah, it is. There are a lot of inconsistencies. And then we have this whole Deadshot origin, which is really good. And it is. And then we get this one, and this is where New Suicide Volume 5, Walled In, of the New 52 Suicide Squad. It's where it gets completely silly. There's too much going on. It becomes overly convoluted, and you really haven't got Scooby-Doo with a biscuit what's going on. So you really have to work at figuring everything out, which is good. But for the casual reader, it's impossible, and this is why it got panned. And also, James Gordon Jr. becomes the psychiatrist for the Suicide Squad. And, yeah, it's very, very strange, to be absolutely honest. I believe he becomes a psychiatrist in this one. Yeah, he does. And they really are quite psychotic. See, look, he puts this, gives her this, like, fake Joker. thing. It's very, very strange, and you see that, but I love her cute little, like, pink onesie that they stuck her in, but it's very, very strange, and it does show it really does show that Waller sees Bellerive as her personal research lab, to be absolutely honest. And it really shows how psychotic Harley Quinn is in this, and Deadshot, because they get rid of their bullets, or their brain bombs. Weirdly enough, the brain bombs in this, when they have to put them in them again, they also give them a enhanced agility, yada yada yada, etc etc. So that's the Suicide Squad. It focuses mainly on Amanda Waller, Deadshot, and Harley Quinn. King Shark is in it as well, and King Shark finishes all of his missions and she won't let him go. So that kind of sums everything up from that perspective. So you've got a breakup in Suicide Squad where they're both kind of like, ooh, they still live with each other, but they know that it's got to end because they've got to move forward. This one, she's basically same sidekick in the end game, no change there. Then we have Harley Quinn's own comic. Now, Harley Quinn's own comic really didn't, it hasn't changed a lot from the New 52 to Rebirth. This is the last issue that these particular writers have done, and it does come with its own sort of self-criticism of it. It's been really good. I really like the fact that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are now have this open lesbian relationship, which is really cute. I'm loving that they brought back the hyenas because I missed them. And also it rectifies the horrible mess of poor Bud and Lou having to be killed by their mummy in that one, because I do miss them. But they're now in this, and they're now in the zoo, which is nice. And then here we have the criticism of it. Yeah. Before you and your other half happened, my life was so much simpler. All I had to be was a sidekick, a raving lunatic. It paid the bills and kept me in constant state of emotional confusion, and that guaranteed some sort of entertaining time as long as I didn't think too hard about things. I didn't have to worry about continuity from issue to issue. I just needed to make a story look better and push clever one-liners that could go on t-shirts. My life was way easier. So even Harley Quinn is acknowledging the complexities of her life, because her own Harley Quinn series is supposed to be set after a time with the Suicide Squad, but how Suicide Squad is going in here and here, it looks like she's actually going to stay with them, and I suspect that all of this is happening, that her own series is happening in her head, because I don't see Amanda Waller letting her go. And then she's complaining about the constant costume changes and the way you draw me. Would it kill you to give a baby a little more back once in a while? Just because you lived in Brooklyn doesn't mean everyone wants to live there. I moved out ages ago and you dragged me right back in. And you and Loverboy downstairs need to understand it's a big world out here. So she wants to go to more places because they moved her to Brooklyn. And what's with all the supporting characters? Who the hell can keep track of them? I agree. Used to be all I had to focus on was Mr. J, a few bad guys and a bat hole. But now, yeah, I actually agree there are too many supporting characters in her own comic. Hey Quinn, quit your whining. Quit your world famous whining. You're like in every DC title, ass loads of video games, animated shows and movies. You even had a best-selling Halloween costume. And what? You burst in here and destroy all that workspace. Is that thanks we get? You better cut the crap or you're gonna what? Break duff, no fooling. What? What does that even mean? So it is, Harley Quinn is huge now. Absolutely huge. But that is a great summary of the Rebirth and her New 52 run, which has been great. There is the infamous, because it is infamous, we've got the infamous breakup. Spoiler warnings for her own comic, because poor old Mason is deceased, which I think is a shame, but I fully understand why they had to kill off Mason. But it also means, for continuity purposes, it goes Joker, Deadshot, Mason, Rick Flag are her current, but that was her current view in Suicide Squad, but it didn't work there, because that was just really strange. I didn't like that combination of Harley Quinn and Rick Flag. I was like, what? So yeah, Joker, Deadshot, Rick Flag, and then Mason. But this breakup is absolutely really good, though it does reduce both characters to just a boyfriend and girlfriend, but that's what they are. There is a cheapening side to this. It makes Harley Quinn very strong, but also it makes her less insane, which is very, very strange, and it does show growth, but it also shows that she's no longer insane. The delusions have gone, which could be an issue, I think, to be absolutely honest. The Joker, it really does show how he's stuck in this loop, and they've taken away some of his layers, but seeing him written as a whiny boyfriend is actually quite good, or an abusive boyfriend is actually good, because it does give him that layer and it does confirm that that's what he was to her. Whereas the fact that you had them in this one say, even though they both still love each other, they realise that they've got to move on. That one they didn't break up at all. In this one they did. So, well, Harley Quinn broke up with him. He still wanted to go back. So it does confirm what Amanda Waller said, that the Joker still loves her and still wants to be with her, which again is confirmed in, where is it? In Joker Loves Harley, which is important, and the upshot of that is Joker convinces this other inmate who loves Harley Quinn to actually become him, but a nicer version, and that's quite interesting. But she ends up killing him because she doesn't think that it's right what Joker's done. Suicide Squad at the moment is in between things. She's no longer with Rick Flag, but I have to say she's also not very funny in it anymore. I have to say that Enchantress and Killer Croc have got the best funny lines. So, no, none of us here for Julian's Horror, but I guess we have to work with what we've got, right? It is, I have to say that Enchantress and Killer Croc are just so funny. Absolutely funny. Because it's a Killer Croc, no name. Main course. In this one, see? And I really find Killer Croc and Enchantress funny. And I love the fact that Amanda Waller is like the bug squisher, because it just sums it up. And poor, he's just like a pawn. It's like, tasty cellmate. See, he's main course. Yum, 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 yum. So yes, it is interesting in a half. So the veterans are kept alive, and the lesser metahumans are used by Amanda Waller as a way of getting rid of their weird powers. The Suicide Squad, this version, they've got Suicide Squad Harley Quinn in there, and then you've got the new Suicide Squad, which actually did better after the new 52, and it focuses on Deadshot. Harley Quinn at the moment is introducing Batwoman, so her, Tony, and Harley Quinn are getting turned into Bat people, which is kind of fun. Sorry, but there's huge spoilers. This, White Knight, this is an Elseworld comic. It's separate from the main continuity of Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn's own comic, and Batman's own stuff. Because you've got to remember that Harley Quinn is in the main Batman continuity, she's got Suicide Squad, and she's also in her own comic. But you've got to remember that Joker is in all of them. He's a recurring character in Suicide Squad. He's a recurring character in Batman. He's always will be a recurring character in Harley Quinn. And I love the fact that he's actually on a picture there. So you can see all of the recurring characters that she has. Yes, she's got too many. But White Knight tries and is really good at solving all of the issues because there are issues with splitting the Joker and Harley Quinn up, because the first question you have when you have a Joker or a Harley Quinn story is, when you see them, you go, where's the other one? And the writer has to explain where the other one is before they can even start the story. Whereas this one is actually focusing on the modern Harley Quinn, the classic Harley Quinn, Jack Napier Joker, and Batman, and it's really, really good. So good. And also, I've got to flick over a page because there's an inappropriate page, but this is the first time we actually have Harley Quinn and Joker sex scene in comic, which is done really, really well. Really, really well and respectful. Because in this one, they've got it where the old Harley Quinn got replaced after the Robin fiasco by Miranda, who I thought was going to be the Joker's daughter in this, but she's not. And it turned out that the Joker was helping her. Whereas Harley Quinn fell in love with Jack Napier. See here. Because I thought this woman was going to be Joker's daughter. Marion Drews. So she's the modern Harley Quinn in this, and she fell in love with the Joker because he helped her get over her self-harming. So it is quite interesting. Oh yeah, and Harleen and Jack are engaged in this, so that's quite cool. But yes, it is solving some of the issues that these other ones have brought up. New 52 is controversial. I mean, they took away Oliver Quinn's moustache and Black Canary, for goodness sake, in the New 52. But I think it's good to shake things up. But I'm kind of glad we've had the rebirth, because that's been really successful in establishing everything. Everything else got changed apart from Harley Quinn, with her current writer team. And she's now got some new writers. So that's going to be cool. See, these are her new writers. But these guys are going to be getting a 26-episode adult animated show, which I think is going to be really fun, because I think all of her other characters in Brooklyn will come alive more. So, yeah, it's been a really, really, really interesting couple of decades. Well, decade for Joker and Harley Quinn, particularly with the Suicide Squad movie. I actually like what they did with that, because you've got the more romantic stuff, and then I think they're probably in Suicide Squad 2 going to show the more abusive side. But I think you needed to feel that, yes, they do have a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, but it is codependent and it is abusive both ways. It's not just Joker on Harley or Harley on Joker abusive. They self-abuse themselves as well as abusing each other, because they're crazy. But the way they're being written in White Knight is brilliant. Sean Murphy is a genius. I absolutely adore what's going on here. Some people absolutely hate it. I adore it. I'm going to finish now because I've ranted about this enough. I hope you enjoyed my New 52 review. Sorry if it spoiled some stuff for you. Please do check it out. And please make sure, because the most annoying thing for me at the moment is people who don't read comics properly. They look at the artwork, they read the dialogue, but they don't read the character motivation bubbles, if there are any character motivation bubbles. Any character motivation bubbles? Or thought bubbles. And that just annoys me, because they're there for a reason, because that lets you know the internal motivation for why the character is acting the way they are. So please like, comment and subscribe, and bye. I'm sorry it's been a long video. Bye.